Before we begin, I'd just like to say that this video is totally not a parody of Sliphantom's Unicum guides for World of Tanks, and that they totally did not inspire me to do this video. You also should totally not check out his channel, because he makes totally awful videos. Let's begin. The 1971 Porsche 917/20, also known as the Pink Pig, is a 10 million credit car that sadly not a lot of people buy because they can't even afford it to begin with, but that's their loss. You can actually get this car for a lot cheaper from the auction house. I got mine for 2 million, which seems to be the average price you'll end up paying for one, unless you buy it out for 5 million. But even if I had bought it for its full price, it would have still been worth it. In this video, I will tell you why this car is worth every single penny, and why you should have one in your garage. First, let's start with its name, the Pink Pig. It's epic, but not many people actually know why it's called the Pink Pig. At first, I thought it was because the car was pink and fat like a pig. However, it's actually because of its livery, which has butcher-styled body cuts with pig body parts and German labeling on each one of them. In fact, this car's livery is so fucking cool that changing it is actually considered a crime in many countries, including, but not limited to, the entire world, except Russia, because nobody really knows what happens in Russia. And if the car's dashing looks are not enough to convince you to buy it, then maybe the fact that this is undoubtedly one of the best S1 road racing cars in the entire game will convince you otherwise. This thing is quite simply insane. It shouldn't even be in this game to begin with, since it's a Le Mans car, but hey, I'm definitely not complaining. Despite being quick, this car is not very easy to drive, so if you're new to the game, rear-wheel drive, or higher classes such as S1, you should probably stay away from it and practice with some easier cars first. But because this car is so difficult and unpredictable, it's very fun to drive. Actually, for me, this is the most fun car I've ever driven in any Forza game. This car does not like you. It's a speedy fat pig that's constantly trying to kill you, so you're constantly fighting the car, but that's what makes it fun. To teach you how to tame this beast, we have brought here our studio's professional racing driver. Some say he plays football with his own skull. All we know is he is Sans from Undertale. Let's watch. Like I said, this car is not easy to drive, but it definitely pays off once you learn how to do so. The thing with the Pink Pig is, it's very grippy and actually has quite a bit of downforce, but you never really know when. So you can either be flying through corners at ludicrous speeds, or be flying off corners at ludicrous speeds. It really is a gamble every time you enter a turn, but that's what makes it fun. Much like the Peel, it is very important to realize how weight distribution works in this car, because it is mid-engined, and the suspension feels very wobbly and floaty. As you're approaching a corner, brake. This will shift your weight to the front, giving you more grip on the front wheels. When compared to front-engined cars, mid-engined cars have better weight distribution and will grip corners more, which in turn makes them more agile, but a bit unstable at times. Downshift as you're braking and start turning towards the apex of the corner, and whatever you do, do not accelerate at all. Unlike other layouts, mid-engined cars will understeer massively once you accelerate during cornering, especially at high speeds. This is because all of the weight gets shifted to the rear. After you've hit the apex, gradually apply the throttle and enjoy your ridiculous acceleration and top speed. Your biggest weakness is yourself, and I really do mean it this time, because the car is so quick, unpredictable, and weird, it can be a bit scary to drive, which might keep you from pushing it as hard as you should. There is only one fix to this. Guts. If you're too scared of the car, and try to drive it all willy-nilly, and try to keep it as clean as you can, you will never find out just how quick this thing can go. Don't be scared to go out of your comfort zone. Next time you see that same old corner, try to accelerate a bit earlier than before. It's the little improvements like this that will help you truly unleash the potential of this car and become a better driver. Other than that, you should also be careful of lifting the throttle in corners or entering the corner without braking. Like I said, this will make you understeer massively, but if you notice the car understeer, all you'll need to do is brake to shift the weight back to the front, readjust your line, and continue racing. Now that you've mastered all of this, it's time to move on to the car itself. Thank you for showing us how to drive. Sense from Undertale. Judging by its starting PI, the Pink Pig was clearly not meant to be an S1 car, which is exactly why we are making it one. We'll start with the tires, which is by far the weirdest part about tuning this car. Despite it being an asphalt car, get rally tires. This is because, if you get race tires, your PI will jump to S2, and if you get sport, they won't actually give you as much grip as rally. This might seem a bit counterintuitive, but trust me, rally tires is all you need. Plus, this means you will have snow tires for the winter, which makes the Pink Pig a great car for winter road racing as well. Increasing tire thickness will use up too much PI, so leave it as stock. The stock tires are thick enough anyways. There are no drivetrain upgrades, so we won't have to worry about getting a driveline later, for once. Get race brakes, and, surprisingly, that's it. Since we didn't touch the engine at all, you might be worried about being underpowered, to which I respond. You absolute retard, this is a Le Mans car, it doesn't need any more horsepower than it already has. Now that you've made sure your car will actually finish the race, it's time to tune it to perfection. For gearing, adjust your final drive towards acceleration until your top speed is 210 miles per hour, or 340 kilometers per hour. For alignment, keep the stock camber values, followed by getting 0.12 out at the front, and 0.12 in at the back. When it comes to the overall suspension, I like to keep everything stock. It might sound a bit weird to use a stock suspension setup from a car made in the 70s, but I love how it feels to drive. You could try to make everything stiffer to make it less wobbly, but I feel like that would make weight shifting harder and would make the car understeer more. Next up, get as much downforce as you can on the front and fill the bar in the rear to around 80%. Tune your braking force pressure to 90% so that your brakes don't lock up. And finally, for your differential settings, keep the stock acceleration and set the deceleration to 20%. And that's it. If you feel like all of that was too complicated, you can just download my tune from the Forza storefront. My gamer tag is Flamethrower XXX. Now that you've given your pig a saddle and have your carrot on a stick ready, go get some podium finishes. And remember that just because this thing has rally tires, it doesn't mean that you should rally it. In fact, stay as far away from rallying as you can with this thing. It's suicide. Goodbye and thank you for watching.